Hi there, it's Pete from Hermitage Road. Today's video is going to focus on a modern locomotive, one that has differing opinions about the Class 66. But first of all, I'm showing you where it all started. This is the Class 59, although it's one of the later versions, the third batch that was built in 1995. The original ones were built for Foster Yeoman Quarry in the Mendips. Now, at the time, Foster Yeoman were really struggling with their BR-provided locomotives, which tended to be 56s, double-headed in most time, and the reliability on them was very poor, and the haulage powers was not good. You needed two of them. So they decided to look abroad, and they looked to America, where the Americans said they could build a locomotive that would fulfill all the things that they wanted. Now, the main things that Foster Yeoman wanted were haulage power and, above all, reliability. The reliability of the Class 56s had fallen to around 65%, which is absolutely terrible, to be honest. And General Motors said they could provide upwards of 90%, maybe even 95%. So after 3 years development, they produced this, and the locomotive, when it went into use, was very impressive. The breakdowns were almost non-existent. At one time, it had a 99.8% reliability, and they were so impressed about this that other quarry firms also went for it, and National Power decided to have a few of these. This is one of the old National Power ones, but it's in the DB Schenker livery. Now, the inside of the cabs were based on the layout in the Class 58s, because the drivers seemed to like that. And the shape is always something that puzzled people. Rumour has it that when the Americans came to see Foster Yeoman, they said, "What do you want your locomotive to look like?" And they had a Class 52 Western that they paid to be preserved at the quarry, and they said, "How about like that?" And if you look at it, you can see the similarities in the shape of it, particularly the roof area and the fronts. Now, whether that's true, I don't actually know, but that's what's been said about it. Now, when the BR privatised their freight companies, the three shadow companies were bought by EWS and the Americans. Now, they came over here and had a look at what they had in the way of locomotives that they'd inherited, obviously a lot of 37s and 47s. Their boss, Ed Burkhart, decided to look into a 47, and he couldn't believe the state of them. They were absolutely oil swilling all over the floors in there. The engines were basically knackered out, which they would be probably after 30 years of service. And he said, "We don't want something like this. We're going to look at what the Class 59s are." So they went back to General Motors, who said, "We can do you a differently geared one, which would be more useful for general freight rather than heavy haulage, although it's very good at heavy haulage." And they built them 250. They're familiar in the EWS red livery. Now, these two are obviously two direct rail services. One's the newer version, and the other one is a slightly older, more weathered one. I got about 11 of the Class 66s. I'll show you some working in a minute. Now, the question I asked at the start of this video is, are they a modern classic, or are they just plain boring? Well, any locomotive that's been built in these sort of numbers, over 400, can tend to be boring, because you see them all the time. And also they caused a lot of the end of a lot of locomotives, particularly 47s, 56s, 58s. So you could say they're boring. But the thing is, they've been produced in an amazing variety of liveries. There are so many. The EWS livery, DRS, Freightliner, GB Rail Freight, and many more. And each company has done several versions of its livery, so it's kept revitalising the looks of them. So I think they're quite popular, and I think they are a very, very good locomotive. It seems sad that we can't produce things ourselves like this, but unfortunately that appears to be the way it is. Now, they got several different nicknames. The first one was the Creeping Red Death, because of the red colour and the fact that they were gradually being introduced and took out loads and loads of our standard locomotives from years ago. Another one is based on the sound they make, and they can be called yin-yings. Sounds very strange, but if you listen to them, you can see where they get that from. But the main nickname for them is probably sheds. If you look at an end view of them, they look like a garden shed. And the only ones withdrawn so far have been down to accident damage. I think it's about 3 or 4, and even those were used for spare parts for the others. But they haven't been withdrawn because of being worn out yet. They were also used on the continent quite a bit, but a lot of those have actually come back to this country because we need freight locomotives. We're really pushed. A lot of the companies haven't got enough, really, which is why they're still hiring in older locomotives, and why GB Rail Freight have decided to produce the Class 69. On about liveries, GB Rail Freight, what they've done there is brilliant, really. They've brought back old liveries from years ago, and they've varied them. They all seem to be a different livery, which I think is very nice, actually. It revitalises the past. Here we are. This is one of the Bachmann models. All of mine are Bachmann. I haven't, unfortunately, got any of the Akira scale ones yet, though I'm told they're quite good. And of course there's the new Bachmann one coming later in the summer. I'm looking forward to that. Now, I don't know what everybody's opinion is on the Class 66s. I didn't like them to start with, for the main reasons I've said before, but you've got to hand it to them. They are fantastic locomotives. If you want to like, subscribe, or share this video, I'd appreciate it. And if you comment on it, I'd like to hear what your opinions are about the Class 66. Do you think they are a modern classic, or do you think they are just plain boring? Good night, and thank you from Hermitage Road.